The opportunity, thanks for the invitation to the board. We are mildly intimidated teeing up a gas talk to a room full of coal people. I have a theory that Lloyd put me at the back end of the day so that if you felt inclined to leave, it would be a good time, but it's very charitable of you to mostly have stayed behind. I'm going to split the talk into three general areas. I'll talk a little bit about Sasol, a bit about history and technology, and then a bit about gas to liquids value proposition, what makes gas to liquids work for both us and some of the other stakeholders, and then just share an update on our USA project in Louisiana. So firstly to Sasol and its technology. For those of you who are not familiar with Sasol, we're an international integrated energy and chemicals company. Oops, pardon. We have exploration, development, production, marketing, sales in 37 countries, market cap of around 40 billion, some 35,000 employees, of which I think 10 to 12,000 are in our mines in South Africa. We're listed on Johannesburg and New York Stock Exchange. And we're, I think, recognized leader in Fischer-Tropsch gas to liquids and coal to liquids technologies. We have a lot of operating experience with those. We have already a strong presence in the US, but our projects really are going to put us on the map, I think, as far as our US presence is concerned. Just to take you back a little bit, we started in the 1950s. Sasol was created by the South African government, really as a strategic means to utilize our coal reserves to produce domestic fuels at a time where political uncertainties and sanctions and so on were very much the order of the day. So we built a small Sasol 1 facility in the early 50s using Fischer-Tropsch technology that essentially we took from a pilot scale and took some pretty large scale-up risks on, but it worked quite well. And then during the oil crises in the 70s, saw the opportunity to expand, and we built the Sasol 2 and Sasol 3 facilities, all of these first three based on coal feedstocks. And you'll see in the background there, that's our Sasol 2 and 3 facilities in South Africa, producing some 150,000 barrels per day of liquid fuels and chemicals. I won't trace the detail of the story, but as political climate changed and as Sasol effectively outgrew, the South African market started looking to where we might have a unique advantage internationally, and started looking at using our Fischer-Tropsch technologies on gas feedstocks. At that time we started looking. Stranded gas was an idea that was prevailing. This was really before LNG took off. And our first plant, our first gas to liquids plant, was started up in the mid-2000s in Qatar. That's been a very successful plant for us, about 34,000 barrels a day producing currently. We're about to start a similar plant in Nigeria, the Escravos gas to liquids project, and I'll talk a little bit about the US project, which is a substantially larger investment for us. Just a little bit on the technology, those of you who are not familiar. Essentially the back end of the technology, that better? Yes. So the back end of the technology is the same in both cases. Really the only difference is how you prepare the syngas, and syngas is a mixture of hydrogen and carbon monoxide, which is what we then react over the FT catalyst and the synthesis step. So if you're doing coal, essentially is preparing the coal, gasifying it, getting rid of or cleaning out some of the gasification products and then into synthesis. On the gas to liquid side, it's really just taking natural gas methane and reforming it to H2 plus CO. And then on the back end, there are various product workup options. Our primary flow sheet is a a fuels flow sheet with about 75% diesel, 20% naphtha, a small amount of LPG, but there are some other product opportunities also which I'll touch on. But in terms of cost and complexity, as you can imagine, the front end is a lot simpler on gas and a lot less capital intensive, which is one of the reasons we've moved more towards gas to liquids than the CTLs. And I'll touch on some other aspects in a short while. It's been a continual technology development for Sasol. Just to give you some idea of some of the things that we've done. This is the reactor that is currently being used in our GTL facilities. We had, in our original plants, we had a fixed bed technology. We realized that slurry bed is a technology that is cheaper and more efficient. So we started developing. Our first commercial unit was, I think, a 2 or 3 meter diameter unit, 2,500 barrels. We've now scaled that up to where our current Louisiana plants will have reactors of 24,000 barrel per day capacities individually, and those are sort of 11 meter diameter reactors, and we think we can still get that up to about 30,000 barrels per day. So obviously economies of scale are very important for us from an economic point of view. We've also done a lot of catalyst improvement, which has also helped to intensify the throughput and conversion through these reactors, and of course, as you can imagine, other flow sheet optimizations and newer technology components along the way. So really the point is this has not been a static technology, there's been quite a lot of development along the way. Just to give you some of the reasons why gas to liquids we think is an interesting and important technology. The big thing is it provides a bridge from natural gas into the transportation and of course coal in the CTL case into the transportation markets, which has traditionally of course been dominated by oil. If we're looking at the US shale gas situation, obviously I think one of the big challenges is where's the outlet for the gas. Exported LNG is a hot topic. This provides a means to chemically convert natural gas in the US to supply domestic markets. Shale gas has of course changed the face of the energy landscape here, and you will have all seen this or similar projections in terms of gas growth in the US. That obviously underpins the feedstock supply side of our project. And GTL really exploits the differential between gas and liquids pricing. So we buy gas as a feedstock and we supply products into markets that are prices are set by oil. So this is just some of the historical relationships, and of course that arbitrage is currently very strong. Big question is how is that going to play out going forward? So that's one of the things that as you can imagine has occupied us. I'll talk a little bit, I think, in a short while, that we also have some upstream shale assets which helps us to provide somewhat of a hedge for our gas supply. GTL can be supplied through existing supply infrastructures, which is very important, unlike some of the alternative fuels which require new supply infrastructure, new engines or technologies or modifications to engine technologies, new supply chains. The GTL products are compatible with the existing systems, which is a big advantage. It's also a technology that's responsive to market demands. As I mentioned, middle distillate is the primary slice of the product slate, which talks to the growing global demand for middle distillates. As far as product quality is concerned, GTL diesel is arguably the cleanest diesel fuel one could imagine. It's a highly paraffinic, highly paraffinic fuel. It has absolutely no aromatics. It has no sulfur at all. It has a cetane number in excess of 75. So for those of you familiar with cetane, is the diesel equivalent of octane and gasoline. I think the US average cetane today is around 45 to 50, and this product has a cetane in excess of 75, which means it's very inclined to combust in the diesel engine, so it's a very efficient fuel. It can be used as a pure fuel. You can use it as it is in a standard engine. It's most likely going to be used, I think, at least while there's still smaller amounts, to be blended in a refinery context. It's a very useful stream for refiners to use to upgrade some of the more problematic heavier components in the refinery. And of course, with the very pure, clean fuel, we get improvements at the tailpipe. So the engine out emissions are also very good. And here you can just see particulates, particulate matter, and NOx, the emissions traditionally associated with diesel, and depending on the engine, of course, and the comparison basis, we can get significant benefits, engine out benefits with fuel. I mentioned that the primary product slate is a fuel slate, but there are also other chemical products that can be produced downstream. And in fact, we are going to be producing all of these three at the bottom that I showed here. Paraffin cuts at our US projects. The paraffin cuts are suitable as feedstock for LAB production, which we currently have in our Louisiana plant. So it's providing a new feedstock source for us. Specialty Fischer-Tropsch wax products we produce in South Africa, and this is going to enhance our global position. And then a very exciting development, GTL base oils, very high quality lubricant base oils, and a lot of market interest in that. Schnell is producing at their Pearl plant in the Middle East. And again, very high quality products. Just looking at here, if you see on the left-hand side, the very large markets that the fuel slate plays into, provides us the means to sustain multiple large-scale products. But in select cases, some of these added value product opportunities we'll use to enhance our markets as well as our value. GTL can improve energy security. In certain cases, it diversifies the transport fuel supply, can reduce dependence on imported petroleum products. This is the historical US net crude oil import. Our Louisiana facility will still be a relatively small portion of current imports, but certainly is a means to bolster the domestic supply. For gas owners, it offers a means to diversify some of the traditional pathways for gas into market. At the bottom here, you see our Oryx gas to liquids facility in Qatar. I thought I'd just maybe make offer a few thoughts in terms of challenges facing coal to liquids versus gas to liquids. As you can see, although we're a legacy CTL company, our current investment portfolio is moving more towards gas. What is the reason for that? Capital intensity is one. For the same output, the complexity of the front end of the CTL facilities makes it more capital intensive. Of course, from a location point of view, a CTL facility would need to be co-located with the feedstock, whereas in a place like the US, where well-established supply infrastructure for gas, more flexibility on the location. Again, feedstock flexibility. We expect to source our natural gas from multiple sources, and that's convenient for us. Higher efficiency and carbon footprint, of course, with all the discussion that's happened today around CO2 and some of those issues. Certainly more positive on the GTL side. Just overall venture economics for similar reasons. And frankly, for a company like Sasol, where we're capital constrained, we would be looking strongly towards where our capital is going to deliver the best returns. And frankly, today that's going to be gas to liquids, not coal to liquids. So CTL has taken a little bit of a back burner in our company for the time being. If we look at our projects, North America certainly has become the new frontier for GTL. I can remember about 5 or 6 years ago, I was in London in our business development group, and the closest we could conceptualize a gas to liquids plant in the US was in Point Thompson, Alaska, looking at gas from up there. Of course, the landscape has totally changed, and it's become an attractive investment environment for GTL. In December of 2012, we announced the decision to go ahead with the feed phase for a world-scale GTL project, as well as a world-scale ethylene cracker. This is our existing facilities at Lake Charles, Louisiana. We've acquired some 2,000 acres of land adjacent to this facility, which we will co-locate these two plants on. The chemicals facility will be a world scale, approximately 1.5 million tons of ethylene, and we have multiple downstream derivative units to process that ethylene on site. It's going to be a $5 to $7 billion capital investment. We're well through the feed phase already on the ethylene plant, expecting to make a final decision mid-year this year and start up in the 2017 timeframe. On the gas to liquid side, we'll process roughly a BCF per day natural gas and convert around 96,000 barrels a day of fuels. It'll actually be somewhat more than that, and chemicals, including, as I mentioned, diesel, naphtha, and the other added value chemical products that we're looking at. A capital investment of 11 to 14 billion. We're phasing these two projects slightly, as you can imagine. Having decided to go ahead with both of them, we've needed to phase the execution, so we'll take the FID approximately 2 years after the cracker one, and we expect to start the first phase in 2019 and the second phase in 2020. The business drivers for our US GTL, good location on the Gulf as far as in and outbound logistics, construction expertise, and so on, so it's a good location for us. We have an existing asset and resource base in North America, and some integration synergies both with the existing site and between the two projects. So it's not truly a greenfield situation. And then it's a great opportunity for us, being a wholly owned venture. It's a great opportunity for us to deploy some of these added value technologies and develop and enhance some of our existing markets. As far as strategic value to the US is concerned, the GTL project, Governor Jindal suggested, was probably the largest foreign direct investment in US manufacturing ever in this country, so that just gives some idea of the scale. Obviously, the revenue streams, both federal and state. As far as jobs are concerned, approximately 1,200 permanent jobs at the 2 projects and up to 7,000 construction jobs at peak. And then from a total economic benefit point of view, there have been various studies, but significant benefits brought both at state and federal level. Just talking a bit about the construction, I don't think I've made the point elsewhere, but obviously a big challenge for us is going to be labour. A lot of other projects going ahead in the Gulf. We probably will modularize some of the units to try and balance the peak construction requirements, looking at some of those kinds of strategies. Of course, improves the US energy security by diversifying shale gas utilization here and producing high quality products for the US market. As you can imagine, we've had strong support at both state and federal levels. Just a couple of challenges, and it's perhaps a bit presumptuous only to have 4 bullets of challenges. There are many more, but just the scale and complexity of plants like this, as you can imagine, presents a huge challenge. There are some interesting integration synergies offered, as I say, by co-locating with each other and with our existing site, but managing that integration properly is a challenge for us, both from an execution point of view and in final operations. Construction market, as I mentioned, a lot of other activity on the Gulf, so managing the construction requirements is going to be an important thing for us, and then the usual execution risks that you'd imagine. I think that's all the remarks I want to have, but I'll be happy